How are you doing today? I am hosting a session today on how to raise your vibration. And I will attach in the comment section a link to download my free guide, how to raise your vibration, so that you can follow along and use this afterwards at your leisure. My intention is this will probably go about 30 minutes. And my desire for you from this experience is to strengthen your self-leadership, your source power for empowering mind, body, soul wellness. So before we begin, I had a few thoughts kind of swirling in my head in preparation for today. Before we begin, I want to invite you to set your intention for our time here together today. I always set an intention that my audience is going to come away with at least one thing, one nugget, one revelation, one healing, one something that is going to serve you today, that is going to help you address a problem or a challenge that you're really struggling to move through. My intention for our time here together today is for you to know that your strength resides in your stillness. Your strength resides in your stillness. How does that feel for you to hear? How does that feel for you to fully receive? We come from a world of hustle, of go, 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 of busy, 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 of do, 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 performing, pleasing, seeking, attaining, validating. All of these things from outside of us. And what we forget, because we're allowing our mind and our ego to run the show, because it loves us and it wants us to be safe and protected. Thank you. But what we forget, this right here is where our leadership resides. This is the source of your leadership. This is the source of your strength, of your power, of your possibilities. Of your highest potential. As a human, I don't know if you can feel this, but oh, my heart, be still my heart, and just receive these words. Your greatest potential as a human, your greatest potential as a human is met when you bring balance to your inner masculine and your inner feminine through harmony, through energetic harmony, through frequency, through vibration. And only can we sustainably raise our vibration, when we bring stillness to the moment. And trust ourselves to lead with love. Turn the mind off. Be still and connect with your heart. How do you feel? I'm ready to learn what has worked for me to sustainably raise my vibration. And to lean back and allow my heart to lead with love for me and for all of you. Because we are connected. We are one world from one source energy. We've just forgotten because we've been looking outside of us, what's within us all along. Shall we begin? So I am just going to read from my notes here. And where are they? Okay. So I have created a document called How to Raise Your Vibration. Okay. And actually, maybe I'll just share my screen. Let me share my screen. This way you can see what I'm reading. What am I sharing? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat here. Actually, I'll do that right now. For you to download my free guide. This is from my business, which is called Live with Intent. And you can access this guide. There's actually 4 trainings inside this guide. So you're going to get some real goodies when you download this guide. I'm going to start by sharing that I love this quote by Albert Einstein. And some of you may have heard me say this many times before. Everything is energy. Match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And I bring this quote into this moment because, we're a culture of having to see and having proof tangible in the physical. The ego needs to see it because sometimes it's really hard to trust what you cannot see. And so science is proven because you can see it. And if it's not, then it's a hypothesis. So when I was first going through my first spiritual awakening, I think it's about 7 years ago now, I never meditated for the first time. I never meditated ever. I didn't know what chakras were. I didn't know what energy healing was. I'd gone to church. And I hadn't done that in a long time. And I read a lot of self-help books, and I had done counseling and therapy, all amazing tools, but all external. And I connected with an amazing woman. She introduced me to energy healing. And at the same time, that combination, I started to meditate. And let me tell you, it blew my mind. This is where I first connected with that quotation, everything is energy. I've never even spoken like this before. No concept that energy existed, no concept of the law of attraction, knew nothing about manifestation. And for me, what I needed as a busy woman with young children, hustling in a corporate business and environment, and it wasn't corporate that kept me in hustle, it was my mind, it was me, it was the disconnection to myself, to my source energy, to my source leadership. And so I started. And I probably, if I remember correctly, could only do maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Guided meditations for sure. I was not able to just sit quiet and still and be with my thoughts. I needed the help of a guided meditation to hold me, and that's okay. And I started to do it, and I did it a few times a week, and then it was every day, and then it was twice a day for quite a few months. And I needed that because I was so disheveled and so scattered. I had so much going on in my world. For those of you that know, part of the reason I connected into this was I was dealing with a lot of relationship trauma. My world had fallen apart, and I needed help, and I didn't know where to go. So I started meditating. And that was the first time that I met myself. I connected with myself, and it was powerful. And I remember distinctly having energy surging through my body, cracking and popping and swirling in my head. Like I had never felt any of this before. This was incredible. And it was orgasmic. Multiple orgasms in my head. And for those of you that have never had spiritual orgasms or mind orgasms, it is like, it's like you're in a cloud of the most purest, profound, and deep love, tender, europhic, just clouds surrounding you, just giving you from every angle. And so that's where I started. And so a lot of you probably meditate. And if you don't, I encourage you to start here. And for those that do meditate, I encourage you to level up. How can you deepen that meditative experience? How can you really be still and just receive? Turn the mind off and just float and allow and surrender. Because everything is possible. Actually forget the order of these. If I remember correctly, I had these in a certain order. It's so interesting that I put breathe deeply. In our community, One Wellness, we have breath work. Breath work is beautiful. It is powerful. For those of you that have tried breath work, you may love it, you may hate it. For me, I have found I'm an Aries, I'm a hustler, I'm a busy. I have a really hard time with the breath work that's up here. It makes me anxious, and it immediately puts me into fight or flight. What works for me is the deep womb flow, slower, titrating breath work. It feels very safe and nurturing and loving. And so I have found the kind that works for me. And full disclosure, I don't do it nearly as much as I should because my ego pushes against it. And so that tells me that that's really what I need to be doing. But I do love it. I have done it, and I do come back to it. And every time I come back to it, I remember I need this. This is so good for me because it brings that stillness. And really, however you can bring stillness to the moment, to turn off the looking out and turn in the looking in. Maybe it's just box breathing. Maybe it's just a few deep breaths in through your nose, and then another in through your nose. So in, and then a final in to just get that last little bit, and then blow out. That is an immediate, in the moment way to decrease your anxiety. And for those that deal with stress and anxiety, breathing is so powerful. My daughter has ADHD, and everything's noisy, and her sensories are on overload. And breathing has been really powerful for her. My husband too, myself as well, because we are all learning how to turn off and breathe through it versus screaming and yelling and fighting or running. Breathing allows you to stand still in the moment. Remember, your stillness comes. Your strength comes from your stillness. Let's just talk about gratitude for a moment and how significant of a life-changing habit this has become in my world. So there's two pieces to this I want to talk about. One is gratitude and one is appreciation. I'm always thankful. I'm always grateful. And I always have been my whole life. But when I started to turn my attention and actually bring intention, I love that my business is called Live with Intent. There's no surprises, right? The universe is like, we're just going to make you remember, live with intention. So we're just going to call your business Live with Intent. When I created space to have an intentional gratitude practice, what are you grateful for within myself? What are you grateful for within your home, within your community? And doing that multiple times a day at a bare minimum in the morning when you wake up, so that you start your day and you set yourself off correctly. And then at the end of the day, in reflection, what am I grateful for from today? What can I look back upon and receive and anchor that into my heart? Because noise gets in the way. And we have to remember, we are the most important person in our world. And so how we start our day and how we end our day really is how you live your life. So bringing gratitude into your daily practice, amazing. For those of you that are in my Facebook group, I have a link to a practice that I did 2 years ago now, called 21 Days of Gratitude. And I continue to revisit this. And during that time, I ended up manifesting a $10,000 luxury paid vacation just by sinking into gratitude. And then you got to see the whole journey. And I love it. So it's all there. You can access that and you can journey that along with me for free. So now I want to take gratitude one step further, and appreciation. So for me, gratitude, amazing. Thank you. Thank you back. Appreciation is like a little bit of a on top. I want you to imagine yourself going for a walk, and you don't have your phone, by the way. We'll talk about this in a minute. You're going for a walk and you're just observing. You're observing the wind blowing in your hair. Maybe there's some birds chirping. Maybe there's a cricket. Maybe there's a bumblebee. Maybe there's a waterfall. All of the wind is blowing in the trees and you can hear that. All like full tingles. All of those things don't owe you anything. They're just there being there in their excellence, in their beautiful, divine, all-encompassing source energy. And they're giving it to you freely. And you're grateful, absolutely. When you appreciate it, you don't owe them anything and they don't owe you anything. And so appreciating the bird, it creates an extra level of detachment, of cleanliness, of interdependence, not codependency, not attachment. It creates such a clean separation where there may be still a bit of an attachment with gratitude, but there is zero attachment with appreciation. I'm curious if you feel this or how this would be for you to experiment with the difference. Both are amazing. I'm super curious how this feels for you and would love for you to share if you notice a difference with this. So, positive thinking. This is something I really had to work on, and I still to this day, because I'm Aries Taurus cusp. I'm very fire, very grounded. Like a rock, right? It takes a lot to like pick up a rock and move it. My husband is Aquarius, and so he's very airy, and it's very different for him to. We always have these conversations over mindset. And so when I brought intention to the way I was thinking, and I shifted, again, this is another really, really powerful tool. And all of these, by the way, are free. They don't cost you anything. The rest of them I'm going to share with you. And so a couple of ways you can look at this is, one, when you react to an environment versus respond. That is more positive thinking because you're in a leadership, because then you get to pause. Remember, your strength resides in your stillness. You get to pause and choose, do I want to think negative or positive? I'm going to think positive, amazing, empowering, confidence, worth, because you're choosing to not automatically replay an old story. The other thing is, I have coined the phrase self-resistance. And so for me, what this is you have your ego and you have your soul, and they both love you fiercely and they want you to be amazing and have the most beautiful life. And your ego guides you based on past patterns and experiences in the 3D, in the world, all your human experiences. And your soul is like, but there's all these experiences we've never had in this lifetime, maybe in other lifetimes, or maybe in future lifetimes. And look at all these possibilities. Let's go this way. And your ego's like, but I don't know. I haven't experienced that. So I'm not sure. I'm going to stand still. And I love you. And so I'm going to dig my heels into the ground. And so then they both kind of go like this. They both love each other so much because the ego's like, well, this is all I know. And I know it works. And your soul's like, but I know this works. And so how you switch and bring more positive thinking in, and you kind of trick your ego to slowly, one click over at a time, is anytime you're catching yourself in a negative thought, maybe it's, well, at least I know if I've done this, it's predictable. It might not be amazing, but I know it's predictable. And this is also connected into the ego. So I'm going to keep doing this. And when you catch yourself in this predictable, potentially negative, or not as high vibrational as you'd like, just pause. Bring that stillness to the moment. Use your breath work. Take a few deep breaths. Ground your energy. Can you put your hand on your heart if you want? You have a conversation with your ego. I love you. I love you so much. And I know you love me so much. But we're going to try something different. And maybe in that moment, you get up and you walk away and you go into a different room and you short circuit the thinking by doing something positive, by thinking something positive, by creating a new habit or a pattern. And then you anchor that in with love, with appreciation, with gratitude, with celebration. And all of these are little micro moments that are really pick and choose what you want, that are going to pull you from that negative to the positive. Okay. And you'll probably find that you'll stand up taller. Your legs will be more solid. Think of like the Wonder Woman pose, the superhero pose, right? All of these things will shift from the negative to the positive. So generosity. To love and be loved is to be generous with love. To love and be loved is to be generous with love. So if you want to raise your vibration, if you want to feel more self-love, give more love, be more generous, be that way of what you want to receive. The golden rule, treat those the way you want to be treated. But do it with yourself first. Be generous with yourself first. You don't have to do 400 things to prove your worth. You don't have to work so hard to be valued as a human. You just have to be love. To yourself and to those around you. And the more love that you give out, and as well, the more love that you give to yourself, the more generous you are, the more you give to yourself so that you can receive, the more that you give to others so they can receive. In balance and in harmony, of course, the more your vibration will raise. So this goes back to the appreciation. See beauty everywhere. This is the disconnected attachment from the generosity piece. You just have to look for it. It is there. And when you look for the negative, when you look for the pessimistic, the victim, the lack, you're going to see it. And so when you start your day with generosity and you set your intention with how I want to move forward with my day, and I choose to only see the beauty, doesn't mean that you're not seeing the negative. But if I told you, I want you to look for red cars, you're going to start seeing red cars everywhere. Most cars are silver. As I look across the street and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black, white, and silver cars. But I guarantee you're going to start seeing red cars now because look at that. I just realized that. Because now you are training your mind in an action so that you can receive seeing what you want to see. So I encourage you to think about what it is that you want to see. You can write it out, you can meditate on it, but this is your self-leadership to see the beauty, because then you are going to naturally continue to fill up your cup and to raise your vibration. Moving your body is massive. So we all move our body, get it. But I want you to put some intention behind moving your body. Everything is energy. And when you have stagnant energy, you deplete, you lower vibration, you start to react because you're attaching, trying to fill up your cup. And so what you will want to do is move your body. You want to wiggle your hips, wiggle your arms, shake your legs. You might want to scream, whatever you want to do. You could go for a walk, go for a 15 or 20-minute walk without your phone. So important. And when you're walking, another really fun thing to do, try and wiggle your hips, because we get sort of like in this like repetitive, like conveyor belt type, right? Again, automatic. And so you're going to interject the nurturing, the feminine energy, and you're just going to wiggle your hips, and you'll probably find that maybe your hips are stuck, or maybe one side's more loose than the other, and just kind of keep leaning into that. And you'll find, bear in mind that there's no physical ailments. bear in mind, you will find that within a few steps or a few minutes, you're flowing, you're moving. And what's really cool is you're going to know that the energy is moving because you might start to burp. You might cry, you might laugh, you might just, and what that does is it releases that stored, staled, old, outdated energy that got you to where you are here, but it's ready to be moved. And then you've created space. And what are you going to fill up the space with? Positive thinking, gratitude, see beauty everywhere, higher vibrational frequency. And this is this dance between the masculine and the feminine energy working in partnership. The masculine action of moving, because he knows that the feminine needs to get things going because it needs love and nurturing. And then you've done that. And then you've created space for this beautiful divine source wisdom to come in for you to receive your source leadership. And another way of moving your body is, yes, go to the gym, work out, lift the weights. If you find that you are constantly reacting or yelling or dumping externally on people, places, or things, turn that inside and go to the gym and lift some weights and get that energy moving. Okay, so the feminine is the deep healing, the inner child, the deep underneath calcified layers of your heart that need just some kind of nurturing. But then there's also that more masculine surface level, which it's just that constant state, and that you can release through high impact action, which it's just like cleaning out, taking out the trash or cleaning out the clutter or having a cleanse. It's keeping you at this higher frequency. And sometimes you have to do that so that you can get to deep. And sometimes it's vice versa. So it really depends on what you need in the moment. If it's, I know I'm just anxious and go move your body, do some push-ups, maybe do some high impact yoga, go to the gym, go for a run. But if you feel like there's just some gunk in here and you can't quite get to it and you're emotional or you're confused or you're not sure, that's the calling for you to go slower and to go deeper. And remember, your strength is in your stillness. To get that deep core source strength, you got to move some of that, and it takes a bit. Studies have shown time and time again that the best medicine is nature. It is so grounding. It is so healing. Have you ever hugged a tree? This used to be so silly for me. And I live in British Columbia and the trees are like 10 feet wide. And like, honestly, it's just incredible because we have these big 200-foot tall trees here, which I never had growing up in Ontario. And the root system is so deep. And so you hug it and it's like Mother Earth is just taking that right down to the core. Go sit by water and just allow the energy to flow. Bask in the sun and just receive. Walk barefoot and connect. However you want, whenever you want, I encourage you to do this at least 10 or 15 minutes a day. This is an incredible way to break up your day, specifically during the day when we are so busy from all of the noise, all of the technology, the phones, the computers, traffic, just everything. After I get off this, I'm going to go for my daily walk around the block, which I know takes me about 15 or 20 minutes before my next call, because that ensures that I am not depleted. I am filling up my bucket. And I'm not waiting till my bucket is at zero or my gas tank is at zero. I might go to like a 3/4 tank and then I fill it back up. And then I take another break and I get to a 3/4 tank and I fill it back up. So the easiest way to do that is to get outside. As I'd mentioned at the beginning of our call, energy healing dramatically altered the trajectory of my life. I had no idea what it was. I always connected with like tarot and oracle cards. I'd get my palms read, and I believed in I love watching ghost shows. So I believe that there's like a world outside of us that we cannot connect into. But I didn't realize what that was until I tapped into energy healing. My first experience was with an amazing energy healer, and she connected me with the divine feminine energy. She connected me with angels, guides. And then quite a few years later, I connected with Reiki. There's so many different kinds of energy healing. And I encourage you to explore this and play with it and find what works for you. And my only guidance with this is to be open-minded, because you cannot receive what you don't feel worthy to receive, or you don't believe, or you don't trust. So if you don't believe in energy healing, don't waste your time, because you're not going to get the benefit from it. But if you believe that we're all connected and we are all energy, then I invite you and I encourage you to make this part of your repertoire. This is another thing that we have in the One Wellness community, is an incredible group of practitioners that all have their own modalities of energy healing. And it really, really is beautiful and powerful, and such a simple, easy, pleasurable way to keep your maintenance. Because like, why spend your whole day like working to get up to a certain vibration when instead you can clean it instantly and then raise it higher? I love energy healing. So I'm going to pull this one out. I was just thinking about this morning. Essential oils. I love my essential oils. I have my Isogenics essential oils, which I love. Just show you. You know, you've got all of these, for example, and they're all for different things. And I pulled out this one. This is the solar plexus. This is for the inner child healing. Whatever works for you. Part of the way that I look at, and I think the next slide is crystals. Part of the way that I look at oils and crystals, it's pleasure, it's fun. You know, I don't know about you, but I am done healing through pain. We can heal through pleasure or pain. And healing through pain is a very different experience than healing through pleasure. And we all go through ebbs and flows. Sometimes we just got to face stuff. But sometimes it's just so nice to just be a girly girl, or create a nurturing, loving, beautiful home, and put the attention into where you spend your most time and where you reside your most energy. This is a wealth that money cannot buy. And these are things that don't cost you anything. I mean, a little bit, but these are things that really don't cost you anything. I'm looking at my couch. Fluff up your couch cushions, you know, vacuum your home, light a candle, sage your home, use some essential oils. All of these things add, in truth, to bringing stillness and connection to the moment. And a remembrance of why we're doing this. Because really, our purpose is to enjoy life. And if this creates a connection, a stillness, and a pleasure and a joy, and there's also healing benefits to it, I am completely okay with that. As I mentioned, crystals. I don't know if you guys can see, I have a whole selection. I was just at a wellness fair this weekend, and this lady, oh my gosh, her booth was filled to the brim. And like, I think we were there for like 45 minutes. Because it's fun, right? Like, I have kids. My kids come home with rocks. And we know the ancients knew that there was power in crystals. And we intuitively know that there's power in crystals. We might have forgotten or missed it because, again, we're so busy and technology is pretty much doing everything for us. But connecting in, you know, with crystals. Look at that. You know, connecting in with the power and the beauty of crystals. You know? They're magical, they're mystical, they're divine, and they are a beautiful support system to a remembering of what we have forgotten. Because remember, we're all connected, we're all one. And I will definitely vouch that crystals definitely have a frequency and a vibration. They're powerful. So depending on what you are looking, your different chakras, there's different crystals that represent your different chakras. They all work in partnership. It's the layering, the experience. Think about you go out for dinner. You go to McDonald's, and there's a time and a place for McDonald's, whipping through the drive-through. You got to take your kids to soccer. Totally get it. But then you go out to dinner. It's Friday night, it's Saturday night. You're with your partner, you're with some friends, and you have the water person, you have the bread waiter, you have the concierge. They take your jacket. You have a multi-course meal. It's layered and layered and layered. You get up and you go to the washroom, and they take your plate and they warm your plate for you at a Michelin restaurant. It's the experience of the layering, because what the layering does is it allows you to sink deeper into that richness of the moment, to bring more stillness, to bring more connection with source, to raise your frequency, to slow down the hustle, to remember, to enjoy life. And all of these things that I'm sharing with you here today are a layering of a slowing down, of a stillness, of an empowerment, of a remembrance of your strength and your value and your worth as a human, which ultimately raises your vibration. Just as we sage and clean our space, just as we maybe take Epsom salt baths, there's different experiences with the foods that you eat. And there's different frequencies of food, less processed, more prana rich. Your body is going to feel lighter, more vibrant, more alive. I'd mentioned that I've used Isagenix for 10 years. And what started me with Isagenix was the cleansing. This was years ago, before I even knew what cleansing was. I wanted to lose 10 or 15 pounds, and I was like, okay. But what I didn't realize, and we all know this now with intermittent fasting and fasting, or all these different diets, at the end of the day, yes, you want to create that physical difference, but it also ultimately cleans your system. That's what cleansing does. It accelerates the cleaning so that you have a chance to maintain it. And that's why I love Isagenix, because whenever I'm feeling gunky or yucky, I can do a cleanse, but I do this on a daily, on a maintenance. Never protein shakes, because I know if my kids are complaining and I don't want to keep giving them Kraft dinner, then I can give them a protein shake, because at least I know you're going to have something healthy. Whether it's vegan, vegetarian, or a full meat diet, it doesn't really matter. However you do it, just ensure, how can I make this a cleaner experience? How can I make this less processed? Again, it's the stillness, it's the slowing down, it's the less hustle, it's the less multitasking, it's not throwing a pizza in the oven, but making a pizza. Bringing that stillness, because you're in charge, because you have the confidence to know I am doing what I need, no more, no less. What I need, not what anybody or anything outside of me says I need to be doing. So bringing intention into what you eat is such a beautiful way to connect as humans, because then you have this beautiful dinner and you're going to want to sit down and enjoy it. In the making of the dinner and in the receiving and the eating. And then you're putting something really good into your body, whatever that is. And we cannot mention the importance of water. I can't remember the percentage, but I think we're like 90-something% water. This goes hand in hand with the layering, with the cleansing, with the flushing. You know, if you're going to do like a breath work or an energy healing, or you go to the gym, or anytime you're moving your body, yes, you are for sure depleted and you need to fill it up. But another way to think about it, it's like taking a shower inside. You're cleaning out the system. You're giving yourself an oil change. And water is the most powerful thing to do that with, because not only does it detoxify and purify, it brings that clarity. It also fills you up so that you don't eat crappy processed food. Like, there's just so many benefits. I don't need to share. Just drink more water. And high vibrational relationships. You will find that the more you turn and serve yourself so that you can receive the love and the higher vibrational experiences you want to receive, the more you're going to find that your relationships are going to mirror that. And if they don't, and if something triggers you or irritates you, just take that as an opportunity to look within and say, okay, what do I need to do? Let's have a conversation about this self, shall we? Do we need to go for a walk? Do we need to do some energy healing? Do we need to do some breath work? Do I need to eat a little bit better? Do I need to journal? Do I need to bring more gratitude? Your biggest healing experiences are going to be with your closest relationships. Who's with me on that one? And this is an opportunity for you to not fight or flight, to not yell and scream, to not run away, or to not turtle and fawn, but to stand in your stillness, in your confidence. And if an external relationship is bothering you, then you get to make a choice. But it begins with standing in your stillness within. Maybe that means more meditation. Because this right here is your most important relationship. And if this relationship is higher vibe, those relationships will be higher vibe. Remember, your greatest potential as a human is met when you bring balance and harmony to your inner masculine and your inner feminine. So there is no more important relationship than the one that you have with your inner masculine and your inner feminine in a healthy partnership. So, how has that been for everybody? I would love for you to share in the comments how this has been, what has been something that you're going to take away and action and celebrate and honor and devote to raising your vibration. Please tag me, please share with me. This is so important, because the higher vibration, the higher frequency, the more joy, the more pleasure, the more abundance, the more wealth, the more freedom you are creating for yourself to be. So I encourage you to do less and to be more. Love. So I'd love for you to share in the comments what is one word that you're going to anchor on from our time here together today. There's one thing that you've learned. There's one thing that you want to anchor. Please share in the comments. You tag me. And if you have any questions, if you need any additional support or leadership, please don't hesitate to reach out. I love you. You are so important. You are so valuable. You are so worthy to receive. I trust that this message has served you well and you have some newfound ways to raise your vibration. Have a beautiful day. I love you.